Michael Ramsey has been a Berkeley County School Board member since 2016. Now he's asking constituents to give him a few more years to tackle issues within the school district. I talked one-on-one with Michael for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Michael Ramsey, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
It is good to see you again, Quintin. And Mayor Rainwater says to tell you hi once again.
Yes, I was at Hannah just a couple of days ago for work, and I stopped over to the City Hall. So that was great to hear from her as well, and great to hear from you as well, too. I know that you were elected to Berkeley County School Board in 2016. You have served as the chairman of Finance and Human Resources for the board for 4 years, and you also have been the board secretary. So why re-election? Why now?
Well, the legislature, in their wisdom, decided that they wanted all of our school district lines to be the same as a county council. Obviously, I would have preferred to have waited 2 more years and not have to run so quickly after I just ran 2 years ago. But I understood the whole concept is they want people to know who they're voting for. And they felt that, if the school district lines and the county council lines were the same, that it would increase voter participation, and also that people would feel secure knowing who their school board representative was. So here we are.
So what is that representation for the school board like right now in Berkeley County as a whole?
I tell you, school boards right now are kind of like the front lines of politics. I mean, you see it in Charleston. You see it in Dorchester. You see it in Berkeley. I also serve on the State School Board Association. I've been serving that for a couple of years. So I've had the privilege and pleasure of working with a lot of our school board members from across the whole state of South Carolina. And I have to tell you, sadly, a lot of school board members are choosing not to re-up. They're saying, hey, this is, I love serving. I love my communities. I love the children. But they've had enough, quite frankly. And you see in Charleston, 33 people, running for a school board. You see in Berkeley, all of our 8 contests are contested. So it's you got to be ready for a fight if you want to try to serve on the school board without question.
So what fight are you prepared to fight right now if reelected?
With me, I'm always ready to fight. But I start first thing in the morning. I thank the Lord for giving me another day. I put on the armor of God. I ask forgiveness every single day.
Yeah.
And then I listen to some good music, and I get joy in my heart. And I'm just trying to give love and forgiveness as the Lord has given me.
Yes.
But that's the spirit I start with. But I'm always willing to stand for what I think is right. Some of those issues, parents, are frustrated after the pandemic. We're all frustrated. COVID beat us down. It beat the parents, the community, the teachers, the children. And so now we're trying to regroup. We're trying to figure out, okay, how do we move forward? Sorry. It's got to be culture. I work in economic development for Berkeley County, so I talk with all our industries.
Sure.
And workforce is a gigantic issue, and it's something I have a lot of experience and knowledge with. So I'm really wanting to get the career readiness, not only be college ready, but be work ready, get the training, the skills. Teacher recruitment, retention is huge. I've advocated publicly that we need to start at any employee for Berkeley County School District needs to make $15 an hour. That's a big lift, but to be quite frank, the average salary in Berkeley County is over $22 an hour. The average salary in Charleston County is over $32 an hour. So we all know the cost of living keeps going up. So if we're going to have a chance at keeping and getting employees, we got to pay them. But teachers, their first concern is not the pay. It's respect. It's paperwork. It's concern that their kids are learning. So, it's a heavy lift. But I think with me serving for 6 years, I've now got to the point where I got a lot of experience.
So let me ask you this, Ramsey. When you talked about COVID and how it beat down everybody, how did it beat down the Berkeley County School District systematically?
Oh my gosh. We fought hard to give people a choice, meaning that they could attend virtually or they could attend in class instruction. We got our test scores back, and they were not good, and that's across the state. So even now, what we want to find out, okay, how did some of the kids fare that were in class instruction versus how did some of the kids fare that were virtual? How did we as a school district, what things could we have done better? And there's lots of things we could have done better, but it was an unprecedented situation. I mean, how many school boards, how many people alive can say that they've been in a leadership or a teaching or a learning position during a pandemic? Nobody. So we have to figure it out, but the way we look at it is, we look at our past mistakes. We start with a certain intention. We look to the future, but you always got to deal in the present moment. Where are you at? And you can have goals, you can have results, but what is your intention? What do you mean to go? And with me, reading, writing, math. Simplify it, understand where we're at, so we can go forward.
So how do you simplify reading, writing, and math in the virtual world?
Well, I don't know if you can, to be honest with you. And that's a big push that I'm going to push for, is I want the metrics, the difference. Because myself, personally, Zoom has, these meetings here have become a commonplace in my industry. I'm very thankful for them, able to be 1,000 times more productive, even like talking with you here today.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we're human beings. We need to meet. We learn so much more from body interaction, from other ways, just from verbal. And I've taken maybe 40 different virtual classes in my career. Quite frankly, they take me 2 to 3 times longer than when I'm in person. I'm an in-person learner. And I think a lot of our kids are in-person learners. So virtual has a tremendous place, a tremendous opportunity, but there's not anything that will ever beat a caring, professional, dedicated, motivated teacher in person with a student who is willing to pay attention and give some effort.
Let me ask you this, Ramsey. How many of the students in Berkeley County were virtual? How many students were actually in person during the pandemic?
It changed. It went different times. It went back and forth. Sometimes we had as much as 50% of our kids that were virtual, especially during the scary, uncertain times. I mean, there were times where a lot of people, we were all very uncertain. And me as a school board member, I was researching, across Europe. I was researching California. I was looking everywhere. I was trying to figure out, okay, masks, do they help? The truth is, N95 masks can help. The little cloth masks that a lot of people wear, that is very little help. The truth is social distance, washing your hand. There's many different things you do to try to mitigate safety. And so, but then at different times, we had where maybe, up to 65 to 70% of the kids were in class. So it varied all during the pandemic. Wasn't always the same, but there was a time period where half of them were out.
Wow.
Virtual.
So what is the percentage of learning loss right now in Berkeley County as a result of COVID?
We're still figuring it out. We just got like I said, some of our test scores, and many of them were below even state standards. And South Carolina does not necessarily lead the way in education. Mm-hmm. But even one of those, even our how we measure students with their learning, it's like called an I-learning process internal. I found out again on the campaign trail, and I learned so much. This is the positive thing of campaign. Is you speak to people, they tell you their concerns, they tell you your wins, they tell you your losses, and you learn so much. And I learned, we only give that test in English. Well, over in Goose Creek, one of my schools, 45% of them are Hispanic Portuguese. At Hanahan Elementary, 25% of my kindergartens are Hispanic or Portuguese. Now imagine if you gave Quintin, you might speak Spanish or Portuguese. You're so smart, Quintin. But imagine that. Michael Ramsey, I don't speak Spanish so well, So if you gave me a learning test in Spanish, my results would not be really high.
Yikes.
So,
okay, let me go straight to that because I want to ask you this, but I'll just ask you it now.
yeah.
So, for instance, let's say, what's the graduation rate right now in Goose Creek High School?
At Goose Creek High School, I would think it would probably be anywhere between, Goose Creek isn't as high as some of our schools, but it would be about 78%. Somewhere in that range is where I would think it's at. But I'm glad you bring that point because that is an excellent point.
Okay.
We need to change our metric. We need to not focus on graduation rate. What we need to focus on is success rate. And this is something I'm a big advocate for. It's something that we follow sometimes a year after someone graduates. All right, did they go to college? Did they get a job? Yeah. But you have places like ECPI where they have 85% success rate. You go there, you take a class, they get you in a job. And they follow you for 3 years to see how did that education, how did that job, how did it progress. So what I would like to see us is move away from graduation rates and move towards a plan where we assess how successful were they. Did their plan work out or did their plan change? Meaning, okay, I'm planning on going to college. All right, 3 years after you leave us, are you in college? Have you achieved that? Okay, I'm planning to go work. 3 years after leaving us, have the skills we've given you. Do you have a good job? Is your career moving? Because graduation rate just doesn't tell the story. And also even some of our graduation rates are lowered, and even like Goose Creek graduation rate, one of the reasons it is lower is because of so many of the Hispanic and Brazilian students. They move in and out of necessarily our high school, and so they might still count towards our rate. So that's one thing I'm really passionate about, is if we can get to a understanding of measuring success versus graduation.
Okay, Ramsey, let me ask you this then. What trends are you all looking at right now to achieve that success rate in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, we had that with Dr. Ingram. Dr. Ingram was very much a proponent of moving away from necessarily being so focused on all these different tests, because a lot of people don't understand that the testing agencies are actually a multi-billion-dollar industry. So even to test our children, there are people that are making billions of dollars. And so if you're making billions of dollars, I would hope that maybe our results would increase. He was actually more focused, just as I am, on the career readiness. Right. And also what he would always say is we got to unhitch the teacher from the post, which means we got to let teachers teach. We got to set teachers up for success, and we got to get a culture of trust and respect where teachers can be teachers, because they get into this profession not to get rich. They know they're never going to get rich. Now, they need to be paid more, but they get into it because they're called. They want to see their students achieve and succeed.
Oh, God, I have so many questions to ask you, and I have little time because I got to go run over to Unfonko at 11 o'clock to tape an interview with him. Okay, so what's the average salary right now for a teacher in Berkeley County?
Starting, it's right at $39,000-$40,000. We're ahead of Dorchester, but we're actually behind Charleston. Greenville really leads the state as far as paying teachers. And this is one of those good things I get from being on the State School Board Association. I get to really see who's doing it well. Like Fort Mill up near Rock Hill is kicking butt and taking names in education. I've been real consistent. When I was chairman of the finance committee, one year we raised teacher pay 9%. This year, we raised all our employees' pay by 4%. Right. The discussion started at 1% when the discussion with that started. Berkeley County government, which I work for, raised us 5%. I advocated for 5% raise for all our employees. I was able to move the needle to 4%. Now, I didn't vote for that budget because I had issues with other things. Right. But the bottom line is, every single year, believing in paying our people more is something close to my heart. I've been a government employee for 25 years, so I understand the concept of needing to pay our people more.
So what other issues do you have right now with that?
As far as paying them?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, you only got so much money, but we do have a really large fund balance. When I came on the school board, our fund balance ended up only being about 25, 30 million. It was supposed to be higher, but that was where the real number was at. This year, we're looking at $110 million fund balance. Now, we do need a healthy fund balance to be a healthy school district because it helps our bond rating.
Right.
It helps our insurance. It helps everything to show that, hey, I got this money saved over here. But part of my dream and hope, and I'm one board member, but I'm a very strong board member as far as advocating, is we got to figure out if we end up utilizing some of our money, how to get our most bang for our buck. And we got to figure out something that's sustainable and lasting. But I'm always going to advocate that I would like our people to be paid more than Dorchester and Charleston, because I view those as our immediate competition.
Yes, indeed. So, okay, what's the current bond rating for Berkeley County Schools now?
It's not the highest, but it's the second highest. When I came on the board, we were actually fighting a lot of bad things.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. We were actually at one point in time worried about that we might have to lose our bond rate. It was a very dire situation, much dire than people ever realized. And that's probably even a mistake that my initial board back in the day, we didn't articulate and put all the issues out there, because you try to keep stability, you try to keep strength. But I definitely feel that I'm going to be much more about being more transparent. Not that we were ever trying to hide something, but when you do something good or you move something forward, I think it's important for people to maybe know that, hey, we moved this forward. Just like people need to know, I've always been for higher teacher pay. My late wife was a school teacher, and that's why I got into this way back when.
So, okay, should the teacher pay increase be an average of 5% over the next 2 years?
Well, I can't put a number on it because the thing at the end of the day, it's about the superintendent and the board and his administration working together.
Sure.
I will say before the pandemic, I was real hopeful with, because part of this is Columbia now too.
Right.
I was real hopeful with the legislation and what they were looking and talking about as far as helping teachers out. I think we kind of got sidetracked with that as far as in Columbia. So part of it I would advocate is Columbia stepping up to the plate as well, because it can't just be Berkeley County School District stepping up. We also need our legislature in Columbia. And with me having relationships with a lot of people, I advocate for that as well.
Sure. Absolutely. So should that figure include an annual step increases on the actual teacher's salary schedule?
Oh, always. I'm always, part of at least my hope is always cost of living, so that over time your pay builds.
Oh, yes.
But also looking at step. Like I say, my whole thing again, I don't know if we're ever going to quite reach the Greenvilles, but our immediate, and it's not just teachers too, it's principals.
Yes.
I mean, we have principals that's making 15, 20 grand less than our comparables over in Charleston County. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't want to get so focused on pay, because I think you missed the mark. People stay in their jobs if they're happy with their boss, which means at the end of the day, if school districts are ever going to be successful, we have to get stability. We have to have leadership. We have to have a culture of caring. We have to have our teachers' backs. And that requires working together with everyone, with the community, with the parents. I mean, what we all need to remember, kids are still kids. It's the parents, it's the teachers, it's the school board, it's the community that is going to help kids achieve.
So let me ask you this, Ramsey. How should the district increase, say, the retention of effective principals?
Well, we got some really good principals, and we've done a good job keeping them for the most part. But again, when I'm out on the campaign trail and they're telling me what their issues are, I got to listen. And so that's where it's a matter of going back again to that culture and giving them the resources. I mean, we gotta try to pay them, but we got to make them feel heard, and we got to have even the effective communication from the district office, from the school board, from the district office, from the superintendent, to the principals, down to the teachers. Because when they feel like, well, we all want our voices to be heard. Same thing with my own boss. If I got an issue, and if I can speak with her and tell her what it is, she can't change it. There might not be anything she can do. But if she respects me enough to listen to me, that goes a long way.
So, what letter grade would you give right now for Superintendent Deion Jackson and his administration?
Well, I'll tell you that he got a passing evaluation, because even that Dr. Ingram brought our evaluation system that we have now, which is a pretty tough evaluation system. It's an evaluation system that is measured by different metrics that are verifiable and submitted by the superintendent. And then the board, what we do is we look in each category as far as how does he meet here, how does he meet here, how does he meet here. And even Dr. Ingram, who had been a superintendent for years and years, did not get exceptional. So it's not it's a basically, all right, meet standard, does not meet standard, above standard. So his evaluation overall by the board, he met the standard, and in some areas I think he was above the standard. But being such a young superintendent, you did not really expect, there was not the possibility to get a higher evaluation, in my view. It's one of those things, when we meet some of these things that we're talking about and we really achieve them and we really exceed, and we have metrics that can show that we're kicking Charleston and Dorchester and the rest of the state's butt, then you can start talking about exceeds.
So what do you want him and his administration to improve on right now?
Oh, well, it's not just him, it's all of us. Right. I mean, it's the school board. We're going to have this election. Right. We're going to see how it shakes out. And with different board members, they have different views and different things that are most important to them. But at the end of the day, we have to develop a consensus. And so right now we've had a chairman, Dave Barra. Right. He's been the chairman. And so it's really going to see who all is elected on the board. And then it's going to be, all right, we discuss, we fill each other out, we see, all right, how is this board, is it the same as the last board, or is it a new board? So really, boards have a gigantic impact. And then as a group, because it's not what Michael Ramsey wants. Even all these things I'm for and advocate, right. If I can't get 4 other votes, and if I can't get Superintendent Jackson and his administration to buy into it, then I'm just blowing hot air. I mean, I'm just talking. So that's where the working together and the relationships come together. But at the start of this year, I've been happy as far as the attitude of a lot of the kids, a lot of the teachers, a lot of the principals, and just the whole. There's obviously, it's been intentional for us. Hey, let's get back to some normalcy. Let's get back to getting these kids going, getting them educated. Whereas COVID and the pandemic, everyone in the world was just trying to survive, because it was such a tough situation of unprecedented, not knowing from a safety standpoint what we could do and couldn't do.
And quickly, let me ask you this. Were there any growth in reading and map results in Berkeley County?
Any what, sir?
Any growth in reading and the MAP results?
I wouldn't say, like I said, COVID hit us so hard that we fell back. But even before COVID, with Dr. Ingram, again, there was less intention on worrying about test scores as there was about how do we really move our kids and our teachers forward as far as getting some real results. Because at the end of the day, my number one focus, number one for me, is how do I give as many of my kids opportunity to have a chance in life. Because you wake up in the morning and all you can ask for is a chance, an opportunity. And that's always what my focus. We can talk about safety, we can talk about parents, workforce, we can talk about money, testing, teachers, but at the end of the day, it's always got to be about giving our kids a chance. And that's where my intention starts, because there's all kind of results, there's all kind of programs, there's all kind of different testing, but it's about people. If you have leadership, if you have people that are of the same mindset moving forward, we can give as many kids as much chance as possible.
So how much does the Berkeley County School District actually spend on standardized tests?
I don't even know that number. I know a lot of them are required, just simply from the state, some from the federal government, and some that we do internally ourselves. But that's a good question. I'll find out. And next time I see you and we both are running the streets in Charleston, I'll let you know. Because you and I both are always hustling out there, running around downtown and everywhere.
Yes, sir. In North Charleston, all those places I'm located. But
yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. What is the current teacher retention rate in Berkeley County?
Oh, the retention rate. Golly. That was a serious issue during COVID. And it continues to be a serious issue. It's kind of it's calmed down some, but what we've had is a lot of teachers have either gotten worn out or they've gotten better opportunities. Because I go to places like even, my gosh, I was over at Spay-War and some federal government speaking with them about HR issues and workforce issues. And they'll say, they'll have a 7%, 8% turnover sometimes in a year, people going over to Google making 20 grand more. So with Charleston area and Berkeley County having all these industries and all these job opportunities, the truth is a lot of educators are in very, very high demand, and they've left sometimes making 2-3 times what they make. Even Chick-fil-A has trouble finding workers right now. So I was even at a manufacturing conference in Greenville, and I was talking with an inshoring group from Mexico. They actually bring people to Mexico. And it was so funny because these folks who live in Mexico, they're Mexicans, were saying they even have workforce issues in Mexico because they get people coming from Guatemala, and those folks don't have the training that their local folks have, because a lot of their local folks are coming over here to America making more money. And so you now have all these industries even not only coming down to the southern states in the United States, but you have them going to Mexico. So it is truly a southern relocation of jobs.
Wow. And speaking of jobs, I know, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the kids don't want to go to college these days. So what trade programs are you expecting to bring to Berkeley County schools?
Well, we got a really good CTE instructor. We already have a lot of programs, and I'm glad you asked that question. The bottom line with that question is a lot of the kids have bought into it, a lot of the parents, and we actually have several good programs. The bottom line is we can't get instructors. We have enough kids that want to take like welding, auto mechanic, culinary, all these Medtronics, all these cool programs. And we've not been able to get instructors. So part of what my personal belief, my belief, and what I've taught the other people is there's going to have to be a bonus structure, stipend structure potentially, where if we have a welding program and we need an instructor, where either the industries will partner with us and pay an extra 20 grand, or we got to figure out some extra money. Now, you might have a teacher over here saying, why does that person get that money? It's simply the demand is that strong. But one thing that I'm strongly advocating for also is a CTE center. Charleston has several of them. Lexington, many places have centers. I would love to have one over there, Volvo CTE Center, or Google CTE Center. And we need a couple of them. And we don't necessarily need to copy Charleston. We need to do something better.
So how many instructors do you need right now?
Oh, gosh. You talking about just the CTE program?
Yes, sir.
I would think, gosh, we could use, what do you think? I mean, we could easily fill up 50, more CTE classes if we had instructors.
Wow.
Across the county. And I'm even working with W International, trying to work in an apprenticeship program where the seniors, I would love to bring it to Goose Creek High, where the seniors could work half a day at school and then go to W International. We'd get transportation for them and pay them while they learn. And that's a big part of the world we live in, and even talking about our own teachers. You have to invest in your workforce. And that's part of that quality of life, is that you got to give them training. People want to feel like they are improving. And even with the kids, it's about certifications, it's about training, it's about apprenticeships. Google does not necessarily look if you have a 4-year degree, and many other places. What they look at, will you show up on time? Do you have the ability to learn? And do you have any certifications? Do you have any qualifications? Have you shown that you're willing to learn? That's what companies are looking for right now.
And I want to talk to you more about this later in the fall, but Michael Ramsey with the Berkeley County School Board, thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
I love you, Quintin.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you.